Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding Your Voice. This is season 4 of Finding Your Voice, and this is a special series entitled Faith on Fire. Finding Your Voice is a powerful platform designed for everyday people, authors, entrepreneurs, ministry, and business leaders who have found their true inspiration and motivation for their assignment. And knowing all of this, they're on fire to fulfill their ordained assignment. And this is no different for the guest that I have today. And today I'm going to invite and introduce you to Minister Justin Belt. So, Justin, let me bring you on board so you can say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Bagby. I am really excited to be here having a conversation with you.
I love it too. I'm excited to have you. I got a chance to peek inside your book, and it is phenomenal. I mean, you I don't know. I hope the word gets out there about this book. It's really a good tool for everybody to have in their arsenal. So, introduce yourself. Tell them all about you, how you got to this journey of writing this story. Just explain all of that, and we'll give you this moment to let the audience hear from you.
Okay, thank you. So, again, my name is Justin. I live in Texas with my wife of 23 years and our 5 kids. Um, and so, this is the third book that I have published, The Purpose and the Pause. And it really is the most personal book for me because in it, I am chronicling our journey from the time that God gave us the vision to plant a church until the time when we actually took the steps to start planting the church. And so I'd been trying to write this book for about 5 years prior, and it would never come together until the time that we started physically doing the work of planting the church. And God kind of helped me to understand because there was about a 10, 11 year gap from the time that I saw the vision from God about the plant to when we actually planted it. And so, as you can imagine, in a wait that long, you begin to wonder, God, am I crazy? Am I hearing voices? Or did you change your mind about me? And and those are human things. And so I
Yes,
thought that by writing this book, it would help me to process my thoughts, but I thought that it would also be a really good resource for anybody else who feels like God has hit pause on their lives or that uh, they're stuck. You hear a lot of people saying that I just feel so stuck right now, that
yes,
there's purpose in it, that God doesn't waste anything. And so if you're
no,
feeling paused or stuck, then there's likely a holy reason for it.
absolutely. And the name of the book is The Purpose in the Pause Trusting God When Everything is on Hold. Powerful title all by itself. So, give us a peek inside.
So this really all started when God gave me a vision of an alarm clock, and a fist came down and hit the green button, and the clock exploded, but
Hmm.
the time started cascading down. And I heard God speak to me. I was in a conference, and He said, "You all are going to plant a church." And so I called my wife, all excited. Oh, God spoke to me. This is so cool. I called my wife, and she at the time was preparing milk to send back home to our newborn. And she just kind of said, "Yeah, boy, whatever." and so one year turned into 2 years, 2 years into five, and eventually there was a full decade that had passed, and we're still sitting with this dream. Now,
Right.
in the middle of that, um, people had come up to us because we were living in Missouri at that time and asked us if whenever we decided that we were ready to plant, they would come with us. Well, that sounds
Okay.
awesome,
Right.
but God hadn't told us that it was a time, and
Right.
and God was still having us to wait. And you know, in that time, I wrestled with so much self doubt. There were moments where I was so angry with God for the wait that I couldn't even just truly find myself in a place of prayer to properly express kind of everything that was going on inside of my heart. And so I started kind of messing around with writing this book because I knew that if I was in this process, there were probably other people who were in this process or would be in this process at some point.
Yes,
Because one
true.
thing that because one thing that I put in the book is that if your life is a series of pauses, and I think that those are by design from God,
Yep.
because God has a purpose and a plan for all of our lives. The person that we are when he shows us a glimpse of what the plan is may not necessarily be the person that we need to be by the time the plan comes to arrive. So there's a development process that we have to go through in order for that person, that God refined person, to be ready when God says, okay, here's the time. And so we have to make sure that we're stewarding that time well, and we're not fighting against what God's wanting to do, or trying to prematurely pray our way out of a pause, so that we're not so that we don't want to be malformed moving into the promised season that God has for us. And so that's really why I believe that this book is so important and so necessary, and I think it'll be a blessing to so many people.
It's interesting that you said something that was really credible, and I wrote it down, and that was the purpose and the pause, and that what you do in that season, that wait season. And you said sometimes it's a development process during the season. I remember studying Isaiah 40 and 31, and people say it all the time, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Let me just stop it right there. Yes, they'll mount up with wings as eagle, but let's go back to the wait. That original language, the word wait means to draw strands and bind them together, which says to
Mhm.
me that waiting is not sitting.
No.
Waiting is, and you just said it, waiting is an active word. Just because you're in that pause, it doesn't mean you sit around and twiddle your fingers and tap your head and wonder what God is going to do next. You said it. You said it's purposeful. And sometimes it's the time that we are to prepare ourselves. We're busy getting ready for that season that's coming. And you
Yeah.
said it earlier. I forgot the word you used. I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. Purposeful, and you talked about being prepared during that time. So the waiting season is actually a season of operating and preparing for that moment. And you did that.
Yeah, some of it was against my will,
Yeah, but you
but
did.
God is
You
gracious.
you got it done. Thank God
Yeah,
for his
yeah.
leading. I love that. But waiting, you cannot mount up with wings as an eagle if you're not busy building the strands. And the strands are the things I heard you say. You and your wife, you're praying. You're asking, you're
Mhm.
seeking. That's a strand. That's staying connected with Him and making sure you're strengthening what you have right now before that season comes. So you're building the strands. You didn't stop not worshiping. You didn't stop not going to church. You didn't say, I'm just going to sit home until God, you told me what I'm going to do. I don't have any place to go. I don't have anything to plant right now. So I'll just sit. You didn't do that. So you did exactly what that scripture says. You and your wife was drawing the strands and building and braiding and tightening what you had at that moment in preparation for where God was taking you. It's a really
Yes, ma'am.
powerful story. It really is. So
And
tell us. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, and that the as you were talking about, mounting up with wings and the strands, I kind of got this image in my head of uh when a bird is a baby, they have to work on how to fly, right? Their wings aren't strong enough. And so in their period between being born and finally mounting up, they're building the strength in their wings so that when it's
You're
time to
right.
fly, they're ready to fly. And
You're
that's
right.
the same thing with us. We associate we associate waiting with a season of inactivity.
Absolutely. It is
And
not.
and it's not. It's absolutely not. And I think, like, one of the things that I mentioned in the book is, instead of fighting against the pause, we have to learn how to partner with God in what he's doing in the pause. I really believe that if God wants you to just sit and be still in a time of just meditation, he'll let you know that. But if he doesn't let you know that, then there are things that he's told. Oh my gosh. So many times we are waiting on God to give us something new. when we haven't even done the last thing that God told us to do before the next thing. And
Yep.
so I think a lot of the times we're sitting and we're fretting, God, what's next? God, what's next? And God is like, well, don't worry about what's next. Let's talk about what was the last thing that I'm still waiting on you to do
Yeah.
before you move on to the next
Are you
thing.
still operating? Are you still
Right,
active? Yes.
right. Yeah. And so, gathering the strands, building up the strength, that, as you said, only comes when we are active. And I
Yes.
think, but because God is an active God who never slumbers nor sleeps,
He
there is
doesn't.
an there is an aspect to that where God expects us, even though our human bodies need sleep, there are activities that we need to be engaged in to be prepared for the things that we're praying and trusting and fasting and believing God for.
And well, guess what else? Our muscles are strands.
Hmm.
So as you're building that spiritual muscle during that season, he's preparing you for what you're about to do. You can't
Amen.
go into what he had waiting for you and you're not strong enough to handle what you have. Now,
Come
here's
on.
the thing about the eagle. You got to be prepared. Just because God has given you an assignment doesn't mean that the enemy of your soul is happy about it.
Come on.
So if you don't build those strands like you build the strands in your muscles, that's building your faith muscles. Whatever you need to do, I hear you say you and your wife continue praying, that's a strand. You continue worshiping, that's a strand. Although I might question what my weight in God, I'm still going to move on. That's still you moving, building a strand. And so
That's
what
right.
happens? Why did God use the eagle as an example? Because when the blackbirds come and attack an eagle, it hops on its back, pecking it, attacking it, just like when we operate in what God has given us to do. Of course, the enemy of our soul is going to send an
Amen.
attack.
That's
But the
good.
eagle, to deal with the thing that's pecking him on his back, flies higher. Because, see, the
Hmm.
blackbirds can't handle high elevation,
Hmm.
so they fall off. And so, as you building the strands, you actually going high, building muscles and going higher in order to prepare you for where you're going because
That's right.
things will come up against what you have to do.
That's
So
right.
I love what you're saying. It's so true.
I think the another important aspect to this that I don't know that we actually talk about it enough in our churches or whatever is, I think, an important strand of pulling together also
Hmm.
is just being honest with God.
Yep. Yep.
God, I'm
Yep.
angry right now. God, I'm sad right now. And I think
Absolutely.
I think because we often tend to associate God with other people that we deal with. Like there are people that I can't tell that I'm angry or sad to because then they'll start acting petty and all this stuff. But that's not God. God, God,
What?
God, God welcomes God welcomes our honesty. And people say, yeah, he already knows how I feel anyway. However,
No.
I,
Wow.
I believe that I believe that a way that we show our faith and trust in God is by being willing to bring our honest emotions and thoughts to
Absolutely.
him
Every time.
as a loving father.
Hmm.
Um I remember
How
one
about
time
as a loving friend?
as
Because
a
there are
oh, that's
moments
good.
when
Come
God will
on.
throw things in my path, and I'm going, "Really, God? Is this what you're going to do right now? Really? You're thinking highly of me, God? Really?"
Come on.
My relationship with God is like that.
Yeah.
I can be honest with Him, and I talk to Him just like that. When,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't God doesn't expect us to come to him in King James language with the these and the thous.
No,
Cuz that's
no,
not how he speaks to me.
no, not how He speaks to me either. I love it. I love it. So we have spent quite a bit of time already enjoying this discussion. So give us a little. Do you have your book there that you can read that piece I was telling you about?
Was it in the introduction?
Yes, it was
Uh,
right in the preface, I believe.
let's see.
Yeah, it's yes.
Can you said it was at the beginning.
It
What
says the
was
book, the preface. This book was born in the space between promise and the fulfillment.
okay.
That's a
I
powerful statement. Can you read that?
so actually
Hmm.
I gave my last physical copy of my book away this
That's
morning.
okay. I'll read it and then you can speak to it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. It says this book was born in the space between the promise and the fulfillment. It was shaped during long nights of silence, seasons of doubt, and years of wondering if God had changed his mind. Honestly, I have started and stopped writing this book at least 7 times over the last 5 years. Want to know a secret? This was going to be my first published book and not my third.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So yeah,
So you
it
wrote
it
two
it,
more
it
books in the meantime, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I wrote my first book. I published my first book, Slaying the
Mhm.
Lion Hunt What Is Hunting You. But that wasn't
Uh-huh.
the first book that I started
Wow.
writing.
That
And
one sounds interesting.
I didn't realize it until I looked back in my Google Drive and
Mhm.
I saw about 5 separate documents all titled The Purpose and the Pause, each one trying to start putting into words kind of what I was feeling.
Yeah.
Um, you know, man, God has such a sense of timing.
Yes.
I think had I tried to write the purpose and the pause and finish it and publish it first, I think I would have missed out on the developmental part of our journey.
Right.
Because like I told you earlier, I struggled. I struggled for 10, 11 years. You know, God, you've called me, you've given me the heart of a pastor. God,
Mhm.
you've called me to walk with people and to shepherd them and to help them see you as a loving father and, as you say,
Yes.
as a loving friend and as a brother and all of
Yes.
these things.
Yes.
But you've called me to do this, but it's not happening. And so
Mhm.
I can't tell you the number of nights that I would wake up while my family was asleep and I was just talking out loud to God, or praying, or just pacing, pacing a pathway in the rug, trying to figure out, what am I missing? Like, what am I
Yeah.
missing? And I
Yes.
think that by the time I finished writing this book,
Mhm.
I didn't have all of the answers, but I believe that God had gotten me to a place where I trusted him enough to just wait for however he caused this thing to go. So now I'm going to give a little spoiler, right? Um because the church that we planted, it was a house church, and it lasted for only 9 months
Mhm.
before we had to close it. And so now we're in another pause season, waiting to see what God does next. And I think that part is important because we wait and we believe that God's going to do something incredible, God's going to do something amazing. But our definition of amazing and success is different than what God's definition of amazing and success is.
Mhm.
Um, how God judges success is our obedience to be faithful for what he's asked us to do.
Yeah.
So what that means is, I write this book, 5 people might read it, but it might be the 5 people that God says, "Hey, you need this book." That's
Mhm.
success for God. Now, for me, I may say, "God, I want this to be an Amazon bestseller." That's success to me. That's success to me. But God says success is tied to your obedience. And
Yes.
sometimes, and a lot of times, that obedience is going to be tied to faithfully partnering with him in the pause, being
Absolutely.
obedient to what he's calling us to do, and and trusting that God is in charge of what comes after that.
Absolutely.
Like he wants us to be faithful and to trust him through the sleepless nights, through
Absolutely.
through the frustrations, through
Mhm.
the anxiety and the depression and all the things that come with it. And just trust that if I'm obedient to what he's asking me to do, the outcome of that, that's his. It's all for his glory. And so whatever we do, however we put it out there, whoever responds, yeah, we can talk about it, right? Yeah, we
Right.
can go on shows and do these things. Yeah, I think that's a part of stewardship.
Absolutely.
However, however, we have to trust that the end result, God is glorified in it.
Yeah.
however it looks to us.
And it shows your accountability in terms of what you do during that season.
Hmm.
While you're waiting, while you're on the pause. It shows accountability, and we grow and we're strengthened during that time because we got many examples in scripture. David was ordained as king when he was just a ruddy little dude they pulled out of the field. Everybody else was looking kingly. But
That's
God
right.
says, no, none of these sons. And he comes in looking like the worst of the worst.
That's
And
right.
he's the one that's anointed, but he didn't rise to become king for at least close to 17 years later.
That's right.
What kind of pause is that?
Yeah.
And so we have to understand that preparation stage, that stage of trusting and believing Him, no matter whether we've seen the realization of His promise or not.
Come
We
on.
still trust Him. We still wait on Him. We still continue to be active in whatever He's giving you to do at that moment. When I retired, like I was telling you earlier, God told me to write a book. It took me 6 years. So your story is very similar. It took me 6 years. And the reason it took me 6 years is the title of this show, Finding Your Voice.
Hmm.
I work for corporate. My voice, personal voice, was silenced
Hmm.
while I worked. Many times
Oh,
in
yeah.
ministry, depending on what church organization you belong to, you follow their rules and their organizational structure. That's silence too.
Yeah.
And so when you step away and try to determine, okay, well, how do I say what you're telling me you want me to say? I had to discover what my voice was. I had
Yes.
to learn what it is that God has called me to talk about, to share, what audience He's called me to speak to.
Hmm.
And so that was the whole idea of when I started this podcast. It's finding your voice. Somebody out there may not know, just like somebody out there might be in the position that you were in that caused you to write this book. They're in a pause and don't know which way to go, what way to turn, don't know how to handle a pause, thinking God is just silenced. And He isn't. It's all part of the plan.
Yeah. And so I have a podcast called Faith Formed.
Uh huh.
And it's a podcast that's about honest faith for people who don't have it all together. So we're trying to. I
That's
created
good.
this. I created this podcast to help people develop a faith that survives the middle, right?
Yes.
Because we're excited at the beginning.
Yep.
A lot of us don't make it to the end because we give up in the middle.
That's right.
But in one episode recently, I was talking about the hiddenness of God and how you know God being hidden doesn't mean that he's not present. Like when I play hide and seek with my kids, I'm still there. They
That's
just
right.
can't see me.
That's
And
right.
we so many times we associate not being able to perceive God or not being able to, get those
Mm-hmm.
godly goosebumps or anything for God not being active, but God is always active. He's
Always.
he's active in every season of our lives. A
Yes.
lot of times he's just, underneath the surface doing stuff that we can't even perceive. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why having faith, man, and just understanding that God does not waste a single thing that
No,
happens
He
in our
doesn't.
lives.
He
And
doesn't.
if we will trust him in however much faith we have in that moment, whether it's a mustard seed or a fully grown watermelon, whatever it
Right.
is,
Right.
if we can just give him the trust and the faith that we have and just know that he's working things out for our good and for his glory, then I think we would save ourselves a lot of hand wringing and a lot of pacing and yeah,
That's right. And struggling.
and struggle. Oh,
Yes.
and struggling.
I love that. I was going to ask you for some closing comments, but you just gave a powerful one. But if you want to give some closing comments in addition to that to the audience, tell them what you would say, and then please tell them how they can connect with you if they'd like to reach out or stay current with what you're working on and how you're moving through your ministry. And tell them how to do that as well.
So, if I could close with anything, um, I want to speak to the person who's been in the pause and you feel like you're coming out of it. And I want to tell you this, that when you exit a pause, now it's time for you to truly live in the
Hmm.
purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that you will never go into another pause, because you will. You will.
Hmm.
Uh, but the pause is so that you become the person who can inhabit the purpose. And
Mhm.
so when God brings you out of that wilderness where he's developing you and refining you, and you enter into that land of promise, what God wants is that the lessons that you learned during the pause will impact how you move and how you steward the promise that God has placed you into. So in your pause right now, learn the lessons. After the pause, live them out with fidelity. Make sure, make sure. It's so important because there's purpose in the pause and there is purpose inside of you.
Yes.
Um, so what I'm working on now is a book that is for men. It's a book called Pillarman, rejecting cultural designs of manhood for God's design of masculinity. I've
Hmm.
been working on this for about 2 years, and it's going to be released hopefully this fall. I'm getting close to finishing it, but it's really on my heart that there are so many voices telling us how to be a man.
Yeah,
Who better to align manhood by than the creator of it? And so
that's
that's
right.
what this book is, breaking down what culture says about manhood versus what God says about manhood.
Absolutely.
And so I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what it could be and what it will be when it's finished.
That is
Um,
exciting.
and I, again, like I said, I have a podcast called Faith Formed. Those episodes are released every Monday morning. And if you want to get in touch with me, please, you can reach me on Instagram at underscore JB Speaks or via email at bookjustinb@gmail.com.
Well, you've been an excellent guest today, Minister Justin Belt. It's been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. It's amazing. I didn't think I was going to meet anybody over there on Threads, but that's how we met, and God knew that that was by design. I really
Amen.
appreciate you coming on board today. Thank you so much. You heard it all, audience. Faith on Fire series. And boy, did Minister Justin Bell bring it to you today. I'm so grateful for what we were able to hear today. So, you all have a wonderful day. And please don't forget to stay in touch with him. Take care, everybody.